Yeah, I think we're live.
Look at
There we
that.
go. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals. This is our thing where we talk to people. It's supposed to be serious Star Trek, but John Price is sick. Then it became serious sci-fi summer sun special with Dan, and then his dog got sick. So I was talking with my cool pal Hector Gonzalez, star of Stage and Screen. I was like, "Hey man, you want to just like rap about stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to speak for you, but it was hilarious. Fuck work. I'm on lunch.
That's right.
I gotta go talk to Larry." So
It'll take
hopefully,
an hour. They'll be fine.
yeah, hopefully nobody sees those. Yeah. All
If they
right.
do, what are they going to do?
You know what's awesome is like I don't know if this is even really working.
It says live 42 seconds up in the
Yeah.
top corner there. So I think we're
All
good.
right. All right. Cool. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Do you wanna introduce yourself? The star of Stage and Screen.
Ah, you pretty much summed it up. Hector Gonzalez. Qui Gonzalez to people who know me from
So
the RPF days.
yeah, I was trying to figure out, did we meet at RPF or was it on Thunderdome?
RPF.
All
And
right,
then
cool.
everybody bled over onto Facebook with the, the Thunderdome nonsense. And then it just spiraled out of control from there.
All right. So everybody, we don't even really have to categorize that for anyone because everyone has had this digital experience where you meet some cool guys for whatever. Hey, I like collecting axe handles. And you go to the axe handle thing and then it splits off and then people that like metal axe handles and people that like wood axe handles. And then, you know, that's what happened to the RPF and Facebook and Thunderdome and all of that.
I'm so glad Facebook killed the RPF.
But I know certainly did for me.
Yeah.
because of thinking about our old days, the old times where we enjoyed each other's company as younger men,
And a bunch of other people's company who we probably
wearing
can't
pants.
stand today.
Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, there's Chris Sagasag and Dave Porter. Hey,
I see Dave.
good job, guys. Yeah, Sagasag made one of his little. Here
Huh?
you go.
His face.
You know what? Let's do that. Chris, you're also a guest. Please feel free. It's just me and Hector. Ask us whatever you want. There's Dave.
That works. Really powerful farts.
Yeah, I can't tell if Chris knows what the RPF is, the replica prop form. He must know because he's Mr. 3D printer guy. But yeah, back is that was a cool place to where the guys in the know did the stuff that was cool, and then it turned to shit.
Yeah. And I think it got tied to monetization that really killed it.
That's absolutely what it was. And a guy reading marketing books and not processing what he was reading. But hey, that's what happens when you shoot yourself in the leg or accidentally take a gun onto a plane and go, "Oh, I didn't know it was my loaded gun was in my luggage."
I think his wife did it too.
Maybe that's two different stories. Maybe his
I
wife.
think they both ended up trying to take a gun onto the planes. I
Anyway.
think I could be wrong. Rumor has it.
So Chris says he got a wedge helmet there from that he never finished. And you know what's awesome about that place is that when did I get kicked out? 2010, I think. And now, 13 years later, all the stuff that people were like stabbing their wives over and throwing their friends under buses, you can get in Target for $100. You know, and it's just, hey man, if everybody waits a minute, Guardians of the Galaxy does eventually put on their comic accurate uniforms. You know, it's like there's no reason to get mad at people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if Dave and Chris saw this, but here's my captain's hat. I checked my look in the mirror. I was going to be like, "Hey, Captain Fun," and then Dan said he wasn't showing up. I'm like, I don't really. I just do the Captain Fun thing like for Dan. But it's a Raiders hat. It's super cool. But I went to check my beard and stuff in the mirror, and I go like this, and I'm like, I look like the dumbest ass wannabe fucking Marine thing of all time. I look like
Not
I don't
at
know.
all, man. I've seen worse. You're not carrying around an airsoft weapon or anything like that. So
Oh yeah,
I've
those
seen way
guys.
worse than those guys.
You've been watching the news, right?
No, not at
Well,
all.
some guy, the guy who killed a bunch of people, ran into them down in Texas, was wearing some of the Meal Team 6 gear, and he has the patch on right on front that says RNDS, no RWDS, Right Wing Death Squad.
I
And
think I saw something.
I just was like, man, you guys just took all the wrong lessons from the same movies that we watched together.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, that stuff you love, those are all the bad guys. I mean, maybe they have cool.
Chris said it right. Captain Avatar. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, Captain Avatar costume.
Oh yeah. I know.
It works.
I really should do that. We had a great conversation in the pre-green room about
Yes.
we're both similar ages and have similar challenges with people. So we're working on our, what did you call it? Attentive listening.
Oh God, active listening. Sorry, active listening skills.
How ironic, though, right? We
Right.
didn't listen the first time and didn't retain that information.
I mean,
work in progress, though, right?
It's close enough, man. It's close enough for government work.
Yeah. So that's going to be cool. I actually told Mimi, just got back from her acupuncture. I was really looking forward to this because I'm like, one of my main problems, I sort of reflect the energy of people around me. So, which is really bad when people get excited, because then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited, like +1. And they're like, oh, really? And then pretty soon you're like, I'm coming for your mother, And it's like, well, we just were talking about pickles and cucumbers, right? And so I was really, we've known each other online for over 10 years, 12 years.
God.
But I've never heard you speak. So I was like really happy about that. And the first thing I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm going to try not to interrupt you. And you were like, hey man, I'm pretty chill. I'm trying to work on that myself. And I was like, wow, how inspiring. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool to talk to you because you're really inspiring about it. Like, I read some stuff you say about losing weight, and oh man, in a year I lost 60 pounds just doing some random shit that Hector was talking about. So
I found it. Wherever you lost it, I found it. That's what happens when you get lazy.
The law of conservation of like sloth, right?
It's just my turn at all. That's all it is.
So yeah, Dave says we started early, so I missed it. You missed nothing. Basically, no. Dan is off on getting his dog fixed. There's something wrong with his dog, and John Price has got the croup or the space herpes or something. Dr. John teaches class at Starfleet Academy High School. So when he takes a day off from work, he is obviously sick. So I want to give him crap, but I won't.
Hopefully he's sleeping.
Yeah. I just hope he doesn't show up in the comments and go, hey everybody. And I'm going to be like, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You should be at work.
No. I'll never turn away for slacking. Slack away, man. That's what he's got to learn. This generation has to learn how to slack well.
What are some? You said we talked earlier, and you said you didn't like Mandalorian. You haven't been watching Mandalorian.
No, that was total bullcrap.
Oh, you sold me, man. I was like, there's such disdain in your voice. What's that from? And you're like, that's called sarcasm, Larry.
Yes, I just wear it well sometimes. No, are you kidding? I love it. I just got off the phone with somebody. We were discussing their disdain for it, and their disdain for all things that aren't dark and gritty Star Wars. And I'm like, Star Wars isn't dark and gritty. It never was. It was never designed that way.
I agree.
No, it should be this way. And Andor is outstanding. I said it is, but Andor is not the only fish in that pond, dude.
I liked Andor quite a bit, but because it was so opposite of regular Star Wars, you're like, oh, they've been telling us that Star Wars is like this massive world that they never explore, and everyone's related to each other. Like I saw this funny meme the other day that Darth Vader should be like freaking out about Han Solo, because he shows up with, the astromech and the droid he made, and he's and Obi-Wan Kenobi and his two kids. Like, who is this guy in the vest? And I thought that was like the best meme, but it's all like, yeah, the thing is, it didn't start that way, right? All that stuff accrued like some kind of science fiction thing that's getting cool bombs as it travels, because it's just a continuity mess now. So the best thing, people are talking about continuity. The best thing is like, no, don't worry about it.
Even okay.
When does Boba Fett take place? What? Is that what you're thinking about?
I've seen some of those arguments about the whole timeline thing and canon and what have you. Like, it's this holy writ TV show, and it sucks the enjoyment out of it. But if you want to do the math, everything could line up if you just step outside of your own box.
I agree.
Those are the same people that were disappointed in how Boba Fett turned out. And my long-standing belief on Boba Fett is he was a shit character, pardon my French, who was disposable. He was never meant to be this super badass that everyone in their heads made him out to be. He was just a disposable guy with a cool outfit.
I think it's like everything now in my dotage, I think it's the problem of the younger generational people, the children. Because if you had a subscription to Starlog, you knew that Joe Johnston was supposed to design Super Commandos. They didn't have enough money. That's why he was white. They didn't have enough money, so they're like, throw him in with the bounty hunters and just spray him up a little, give him some visual interest and color. And Joe Johnston's like, great. Now I'm going to make him the man with no name in space. That's Space Clint Eastwood. And that's why everyone freaked out, because they went, that's the guy I want in Star Wars, right? I want Clint Eastwood in Star Wars. And so Lucas didn't know what to do with that. He's like, are you kidding? That's just some throwaway thing that was never intended. And everyone loves it. They want me to change the name of the show to like Boba Fett. Anyway. And then the whole thing with the action figure happened. And like, do you remember that story? I know everyone here.
Which part of it? The rocket? Or...
Yeah, the whole rocket thing. And they wanted to make massive play value, but they like made everything sharp. And so that made it even more dear. Here's that thing that we all wanted that you almost got, but now you have to wait. So enjoy your box of nothing for Christmas.
And we glued it in place.
Oh, dude, it was so cool. Anyway, that's what you're dealing with. And then make everybody wait 3 years. Who's that guy that's giving shit to Darth Vader? No disintegration. Is like, whatever, pal. Put Captain Solo in my cargo hold. Peace out. Yeah, let me see what happens with that guy. And like nothing. Bink. Nothing happens with that guy.
He gets hit with a stick and goes slamming into a ship and falls to his death. Well, apparent death.
And so then what happened in 1983, like no one wanted to believe that. And I think that might be the beginning, or at least one of the things you can point at and say, that's when the fans started to take over, because they were like, no, here's my 3-volume thing about what really happened. And it literally starts off with, he crawls out of the sand after shooting his way out of the Sarlacc's ass. Literally every single one. And then that's
the Patton Oswalt breakdown. Yeah.
That's what Jon Favreau ends up doing. That's so funny. Oh, Patton.
Why does everyone want to be the king of the nerds?
I think it's so funny that how in entertainment it just went insane. Like, oh, Patton, come see this. He's talking for 10 minutes straight about Star Wars. And I'm like, who can't? Right? I'm like, give me something I can talk about Ugnaughts for 10 minutes straight. He's pulling all kinds of stuff that I could have done that for, whatever. Good job, Patton Oswalt. You're amazing.
The criticism I'm hearing now about this season was like tonal. And I'm like, what are you expecting from this show, dude? This is not Shakespeare.
Yeah.
This is space fantasy.
What criticisms were those? I'm not really.
Just like the person I was talking to was like, the tone is not the same, and blah, 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 blah. They're definite Boba Fett fans, and they wanted Boba Fett to be, they said that show should have been designed where Boba Fett was Mandalorian, and it would have been perfect. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, they killed him off, so there was no Boba Fett to be around, but there were a bunch of Mandalorians.
Yeah, You know, that whole tonal thing, it's like, did you guys ever watch Fringe? That literally changed the format of the show every season, right? So if you're getting some fairy tale space fantasy thing, and it's like, oh look, here's the one that's a little wacky, here's one that's a little serious, like, you know, the tone shifts are sort of explicable if you remember it's a fairy tale.
Right. But that's where
I don't
they,
know.
they expect it to grow up with them. And it's like, dude, the dude who wrote this was an adult. That is how he is cemented in that position. Just because we change doesn't mean his story writing has changed. This is who he is.
Did you ever like? I feel like we should have run down all the cool like talents and skills you have, but you have a real you were a tattoo artist for a while, right?
Yes.
So
Tattoo
yeah,
artist.
you have a background in creative processes, right?
Yep.
And that's the bit I don't get. Like, would you sit still if somebody came in and went, "Yeah, nice tattoo, but here's what I would do. I know better than you." I'm like, "Oh, really? Do you have your own shop or something?" Like, no, I'm just like a giant tattoo fan. Like,
Right.
would you kick that person out of your store, your shop?
As quickly as they came in.
But entertainment guys have to listen to that.
Oh, I
And
know, and I've been that guy. We've had this discussion to death numerous times. And Ben Affleck. Affleck is the hill that I die on every time, and
oh,
I was wrong.
I
I own
think
it.
that's cool because you're the one person I know that was vehement about something and went, "Hey, you know what? I was proved wrong. Good job, everybody." And then you kind of own it. It's like a personal joke. I love that. Like I
It's
can't
like,
think of
holy crap!
anyone else who does that.
Holy crap! Casting directors know how to do their job. They don't need my
Right?
opinion to know how to do their work. Wow, great.
We do have kind of an in joke, Mimi and I. Like, we go to a hardware store, and I was like, "That's Lowe's," and she's like, "It's not Lowe's," and I'm like, "No, the place where all the day workers hang out. It's over across from Home Depot. That's a Lowe's." And she goes, "No, that's the Home Depot Pro thing. That's why the guys are there." And I'm like, I bet you $100 that's a Lowe's. And she goes, "No, this gentleman's bet, just tell me when we get there, just go, this will be the time that you go, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong." And so she took a picture of me standing under the giant sign that says Home Depot Pro. She's 100% right. And even then, I was like, okay, you're right, honey. I was totally cool about it because I'm an adult now. But boy, did I not do that when I was younger. And
It's like,
but I still spent like about 3 minutes on Google going, was this a Lowe's once and they just sold the building? No, dude, you were 100% wrong.
you fell
100%.
for the Mandela effect.
That's what it is. Oh, see, I have an
Yeah.
excuse. It used to be the
What was it?
theater where I saw that Shazam movie with Sinbad.
Like for the longest time, I could remember seeing Star Wars in the theater as a kid, and I could somehow recall the big scene, the Biggs and Wormy scene. But I never saw that. I read it in the comic books.
Oh
When I
yeah.
was 6 or 7 years old, that scene was translated into the comics, but it never made it to the big screen.
How cool is that though? Your little
Ah,
your little foreman brain was like, no, this part of the story and this part of the story are the same, so I will
right.
remember it the same.
Yep.
How cool is that?
It's wild. I remember coming in late to this theater. The theater one time I saw it, I could go on and on about that sort of thing.
Oh man, I do. Speaking of Star Wars, I do remember the first time I saw the trailer, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool!" Swoop and pew pew and stuff. But there's a shot that's like really close on Chewbacca when he's in the cockpit and he's just turning around, reaching up to do the three switch thing that everybody does. And you ever notice that in science fiction? Just,
Yes.
but so he does that, but he turns around and it's Chewbacca and he's got the cool, microphone thing. I remember that like I got slapped in the face. Like I don't know what that is, but I have to see this fucking thing. That looks fucking cool. And it wasn't just the, Tupperware suits and the ships. I was kind of like, yes, I've never seen anything like this before, but that's within my realm of understanding. But like a figure like Chewbacca, I've been used to like, the walking carrots and made out of foam from Lost in
Right.
Space up till that point. That Chewbacca suit looks real.
and it
And I was
still
like,
holds up.
oh, dude, it still does, doesn't it?
It's like they haven't changed anything about it in almost 50 years, and it still holds up. That's amazing. I will never tell a story like that.
Well, that's the fairy tale nature of it. And I think why people wanted to grow up with them, right? Is that
Yeah.
it's this thing from their childhood that gave them like a basis in morals, right?
Yep.
There's good guys and bad guys, and you're like, okay, I get what they're trying to tell me. But what I don't do video games, but you do, right?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Have you started playing
Unfortunately.
that Jedi Survivor thing yet?
The sequel, I have not. It's on my list of things to buy, but it'll probably be like a
Can
PlayStation
I tell you?
purchase.
I'm your friend that doesn't understand video games. I'm great at Joust and Donkey Kong, and I get that these things are spectacular, but I don't understand like why you would watch somebody play it. But my kid played Red Dead Redemption and went, "Oh, I get it now. This is like the best movie ever that you kind of control." And
There
so
was a there was
then
a
he,
Sony commercial, PlayStation commercial, years back. Um, I forget the name of the game offhand, but oh god, it's gonna bug me now. They just had a movie with Tom Holland about it last year. It was the start of a franchise. Crap. Hey,
Uncharted.
help me out here. Yes, thank you. Uncharted. So it was like one of the sequels to Uncharted, and it had this really hot girl come up, and the Sony guys in the background, and the guy's asking her a question. He's like, "What do I do? I've been playing this game for 4 hours, and she thinks it's a movie." And this hot chick turns around and grabs popcorn. It's like, "You ready to go? Let's watch. Continue watching." He's like, and the Sony guy's like, "I see no problem here," and they both go back to playing the game, and the game
Oh my
plays
goodness.
like a movie. Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Well, I know the first one was the same thing. It played like a movie. You could,
Mm-hmm. So
and
that's where I
you're,
was going. Like after Red Dead Redemption, I'm like, "Hey, you got any more of them video games, Walker?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's." I wanted to get this Star Wars, so he played Jedi Fallen or whatever it's called,
yep.
the first one. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm down." We're like building. I was building them a BD-1 out of Legos, and then this game come out, and I was following it. I'm like, "Oh, hey, that sequel Jedi thing is out," and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." I'm like, "I'm getting it Tuesday, man." He's like, "I can't play it till Saturday. I got football." And I'm like, I can't play. I don't understand why I care and you don't. But anyway, started playing it, and it's fantastic. You'll love it.
It's great.
You'll love it.
See, Dave remembers that ad. It's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, I didn't think you were lying. I just was kind of laughing about the Uncharted thing because Walker's got a movie poster in his room. He loves everything Tom Holland does. So of course I know it from the movie, but then we got him the 4 games, which he played in like 3 weeks. But
Jeez.
he just went out through all 4. I'm like, I'm the guy on screen. This is fucking fantastic. Where's the girls?
And those are like 20-hour investments.
It
You're
really,
investing at least 20 hours of time to play those games.
well, back when we couldn't leave our house, that wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
But
Now that he's playing football.
but now it's yeah. Anyway, hey, that's not Elliot R. Brown, is it? I think it is. Hey, do you Elliot from the
I
comics?
do not.
Back in the old day, how long have you been reading comics? Like back in the Burn days? Remember all the cool like schematics and cutaways they would do of like the Avengers? Here's the Secret Avengers stuff. Elliot did all of those.
No kid.
Yeah, and he also is like the unofficial Marvel photographer.
So like the early 80s is when I started reading. And then
Yeah.
and part of the other conversation I was having this afternoon too, it was like, I got to the point where you are now, where you're just like, you know what? I can't justify going to the store every week. And, at 22 pages for what's Marvel charging now, $5? No, thanks.
I go to, Comics Experience. I did the promotions and marketing there for like 6 years or something. I love that shop, but I just don't follow the industry anymore. So I go with my kid, and he gets a stack. And every once in a while, I'll go, "Oh, right on. Eduardo Risso is doing Sergeant Rock Zombies with Bruce Campbell. Put that one down for Daddy, right?" But like, that's like the comic that I bought for 6 months. And it's just there's no way to get back into comics.
I tried.
It's too big. It's too big a scene now. It's
just give me a graphic novel of something that catches my eye every now and again. Like Civil War was a graphic novel that I bought. The Darth Vader, like it was just a collection of like 1 through 24 issues, 1 through 24 I bought, which is good enough for me. I don't need to. I don't need to go there every week.
This
But as a
cool
kid,
Well, yeah. Isn't that like a lot of things though? You know, everything was better when I was a boy. Gas was free and you could borrow your dad's car. Anyway, the the reason I've kind of slowed down is because this background thing that we have, I'm wiggling my cursor back and forth like everyone can see.
oh yeah,
Of the comic books that Dan has up here,
is every graphic novel ever.
I have 2 walk-in closets just full of crap like that.
Jeez.
And one of them stuff I collect and like and stuff from when I was a boy. But there's one whole closet that's just like research stuff for back when I was, I probably bought 20, 25 volumes of weird ass shit when I wrote Black Diamond. Like I have a whole thing about the construction of the Autobahn, which is fine, right? But this book is about the kind of asphalt that they used.
Jeez.
It had to be specially formulated because of the higher heat, because of the faster friction of the driving cars. Like that's insane. Anyway, I read a book about that once.
Really random.
But why is that book in my room, right? I need to take that somewhere. And
you wanted good source material.
Yeah. No, I know why I did it. I just don't know why I have it 15 years later. I was going to tell about Elliot too, because he was the staff photographer and fought it out with Byrne over the design of the Baxter building, and he won. I'm sorry to hear that, Elliot. I love I was going to say though, all the photo covers of the period were shot by him too. Like, do you remember the one where it's somebody from the bullpen is like dressed up like Peter Parker, sort of from 3/4 behind. He's looking at his camera. He's got like jeans on, but the top is Spider-Man. Do you know that? I don't know.
I
worked in too many.
I've probably seen that picture.
I worked in too many comic shops over the years that there's just certain sections of popular books that you can start to identify by covers. Because they're like, they always say that the cover sells the book. It's 100% right. You're going alphanumerically when you're putting books away, but then every once in a while it'd be like, oh, that's a Ron Lim cover and not a John Buscema Jr. cover, so I better look at that for a second.
I was a huge fan of that guy for a long time too.
Who's that? John Buscema?
Ron Lim.
Oh, Ron Lim. I mean, yeah.
John Buscema, come on, that's the classic. You can't dislike Buscema.
I can still to this day like telephone paper doodle a pretty good John Buscema Conan head, because there's like, speaking of Byrne, well, we might as well talk about Byrne because we're big Byrne fans. You of course know the little thing that he never realized as a boy that it was an S and a diamond.
Yeah, he said it was
two fish swimming by each other. And once you hear that story, you're like, that's adorable. And then the kid who has that thought though grows up to redesign Superman. That's pretty fantastic. I don't know why. I think that's cool.
No, it is cool. I mean, the guy has left, an indelible mark that's transferred over to the movies. I mean, from the Man of Steel movie, they took so many elements from his reinvention of the Man of Steel to pick anything. And I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four because maybe they pull from his work.
Man, okay, like what a giant Byrne fan I am, but what a giant Fantastic Four fan I am.
Yes.
Well. So I have to get this off my chest. I've been kind of keeping it to myself. What do you think about this Adam Driver as Reed Richards thing?
I cycle back to Batfleck, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sure they can make it work. And
all right, I'm asking.
As first blush, the politically incorrect, I'm thinking, what the frick how do you get to that from Adam Driver?
Yeah. I'm glad I am talking to the right guy here because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I can
Margot Robbie, perfect.
I can say, yeah, she's great for Sue. Somebody was saying, I gotta have Katie Sackhoff, and it's like, I love Katie Sackhoff. Don't get me wrong, but the FF is going to be integral for the next 10 years of
right.
Marvel MCU movies. So the person they cast for Sue is going to be between 25 and 32,
Right.
not even 35, because you have to be Sue Richards for the next 10 years at least.
Right.
That's just nobody can argue that. So I'm sorry, Katie Sackhoff's going to be 55 in 10 years, and that's not jumping through the air throwing force fields.
Right.
So yeah,
that's sitting on her Mandalorian throne and waiting for somebody to come visit.
that's awesome. You know, I saw a great picture of her today. You would love, because we share an appreciation of the athletic women. And
Yes.
it was a picture on her Instagram. You can probably find it later. That's just like she's in her full Bo-Katan gear. She's even got the little LED on, so she's on set, but she's ripped a costume across her knee, and it showed because she's doing, and she shows her knee slides underneath. You know those cool hexagon things that the like first season Daredevil was wearing. She's got those pads underneath because she was doing some kind of, you know, simple stunt, and her hair is a little like damp because it's under the thing. And I looked at that, and of course it's because we were going to be talking today. But I was like, oh, you know, Hector's going to like this pick as much as I do. Got a little battle damage.
I mean, now you know that I'm going to look for this in probably the next 45 minutes, half an hour.
I just
I'm definitely going to go looking for that picture.
I just figured you're doing it now. It was on our Instagram today. I don't have Instagram, but somebody posted it somewhere and it had the logo and stuff on. So it was, she was just, but the look at her face, I was just like, she's just so proud of herself. Look, I destroyed a $3,000 costume. Suck it, fanboys.
She's every fanboy nerd's wet dream is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, depending. I thought she was like she'd be a cool hang until she posted a picture that she was doing a plastic model, a little plane about this big, and had scrawled on it in Photoshop, yeah, I do models too. And I was like, little cartoon hearts burst around my head. I was like, that's awesome. She does models. Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
Oh, Elliot's got some things here.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. Apparently, Marvel can just keep relaunching FF movies no matter who's in it or how it diverges from the books. Yes, and that's fine. Because I think the FF, as long as you retain the whole, it's a family.
Right.
You know, I think you're good. I think you're good. It's a guy, his best friend, his girlfriend, and her kid brother.
Yep.
I think that's good. I don't care. Michael Jordan was the Human Torch. That was cool. It's a different kind of movie.
It was poorly written. It could have been better. And it's not a matter. It doesn't take anything away from Michael Jordan. Doesn't take anything away from Johnny Storm being black or white. It takes away from it. Just wasn't written well. No offense to Trask. It was just not good.
Can I tell you? Did I ever tell you the story about why I feel so fondly about that movie? Because it's wrapped up.
No, because I didn't know you felt fondly about that version of the Fantastic Four.
It has nothing to do with the movie, though, right? So here it is. It's the start of the classic Walker Larry mess arounds. And I was trying to find, and it has ups and downs. I could tell the story for a half an hour, but the idea is I was supposed to take him to Tree Frog Trek camp in the Golden Gate Park that I didn't know was closed down for 420 day or outside lands or some hippie shit. And they locked down the entire outside of the park with only 2 places to get in. And they have people there because it's such a fucking traffic shit show. Because people are like, hey, can I go through there? No, sir, you got to go down to that gate over there. And everybody just kind of goes, okay, what the fuck? And so I tried for 30 minutes to try to find it until even Walker was like 6 maybe. And he was like, even he's getting like pissed. Like, what the fuck, Daddy? You usually have this stuff down lockdown. And I'm like, it's not me, it's traffic. And you know what, pal? You know what? Let's go to the goddamn movies. I know we paid for this thing, but I can't find it. And I'm going to get the money out of them later, but we're trying to solve a problem right now. Let's go to the fucking goddamn movies to see the Fantastic Four. He's like, yeah, that's great, Daddy. Let's go. And we went, and I had such a blast, and we're yelling at the screen. Nobody's in it because it's a crap movie. He just sees the cool stuff. He doesn't really have like no Reed, like anything about Reed or Sue or
Right.
Johnny or anything. So he's just like, big column of light. Oh, that's their friend. He's Doctor Doom now. Oh my god! And so I got to watch it like I was 6, and so I love that movie. But Trask not having a career because of it is just fine. I understand that as an adult.
Wait, is his career garbage after that movie?
I don't know. I read a bunch of stuff where he was complaining about how they did him wrong and Hollywood sucks, and then I just stopped paying attention to him.
It's like, maybe you did wrong, dude. How are you blaming the system? And maybe it was just you. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We even bought the Blu-ray, man, so I hope you got a little kick for that.
I mean, I watch it. I've watched it on Disney Plus twice.
Have you?
So, yeah. I watched the Silver Surfer cartoon too. So, I said, I have a very low bar for that kind of entertainment. So, it'll definitely keep me into it.
Yeah, man. That's why we get along. It's like because we understand that, like, if you get an 80% there, that's like, nice job, everybody.
Exactly.
And then everything else, it's like, what degree do you want to nitpick it, right?
Right.
Because like the end of the FF is like, that's the Fantastic, and he doesn't say it, right? And bad news for him that the Avengers just did that with Cap going Avengers, smash cut to credits. And they did that in Picard 3 too, season 3, where they're like, "Oh, here's my catchphrase." No, it isn't. And I just was like, "Man, why is that joke the one everybody steals?" It's like, "Oh, look, I've set up some tension and now I'm not releasing it. Haha, audience." It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a strange choice. It's the best way I can put it. It's a strange choice to make.
I'll tell you another funny thing about Charlie Adlard, he loves the Fantastic Four, but he loves Doctor Doom more. So seeing Elliot go, when I learned Doom was riding up with the rocket, that was the thing I didn't like. I was like, everybody has this thing for Doctor Doom. Charlie Adlard is like, Doctor Doom's rubbish, which is like me going on a 2,000-word rant about it. Like, that's how angry his polite British thing is. Oh, it's rubbish. But like, I don't get why Doctor Doom gives everybody that zing that you have to do this one right. What do you have that thought? And if so, like, what's up with Doctor Doom?
My thought with the Doctor Doom thing was like, it should have been a competition between him and Reed. It shouldn't have been like, oh, we're working together, because I don't buy them as friends, because I know the history. Right. It's like, I don't get that. So it should have been, hey, Reed got there first, and he got bathed. Him and his family got bathed in the cosmic rays, and that's why we have this thing. Like the comics.
It is kind of weird that they would do that, because that's like an inherent conflict that everybody immediately understands. If you're starting off with the family aspect, then the opposite to the family is a competing interest, right? That it could be a rival, it could be like another family, it could be anything, but it's like pretty standard narrative conflict, right? And so take that out of the movie was just weird to me.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. I like what he's talking about with the ring too. I didn't realize that was an onset accident.
Yeah, because it seems so on brand, right?
Right. And I like the way they handled the Thing, because the Thing isn't some 10-foot tall, rocky, blah, blah, blah. What's he, 5'9", 5'10", supposedly in the comics? Elliot, you can help out here. But he's not Hulk-sized. And that's what I liked about the commish thing.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that. Chiklis, the actor's name is Michael Chiklis. I thought he was excellent, actually. That fit pretty much my idea of how the Thing sounded. And the byplay with Evans was just, I'm like, okay, this is like mid-70s to mid-80s FF. I'm down. I actually like those versions. I forget who directed them, though. Who did those 2 versions?
That I don't know offhand. I did not like what they did with Galactus, though. That was one big gripe.
Right. Like, that kind of goes without saying, right? Like, oh, I love that party until Lincoln got shot up in the top. It's like, oh, you were at Ford's Theater House, say no more, right? Like, it's like, yes, that's the dumb.
No,
it's the opposite of Galactus, right? They were like, oh, we can't do what you really want. So let's make up the stupidity. Like I'm impressed it wasn't like a butterfly that talked. You know, like because that's what eats planets, right? Or
What
like
I
they did that on New Trek,
right.
right? The Guardians of Forever is a guy named Carl now. Like that was the same thing. Let's make Galactus a dust cloud. Anyway,
I like that. How can you screw up Galactus? Found out.
yeah.
Now, Jim Kong posted that picture today of Tiamat. How they've left the whole Tiamat thing alone. There's this giant half a head and hand protruding out of
Oh, right.
somewhere in the Indian Ocean, and that Marvel's ignoring it. And I'm like, dude, I think that's your setup for Galactus right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That he wonders what happens to the Celestial or whatever, right?
Right.
Didn't they sort of nod to that? I don't know. I've only seen the Eternals like 3 times, and the second time I wasn't really paying attention. I was just doing laundry. But isn't it part of the MCU now that every planet with life has a celestial in the middle or
Yeah, that's what they said.
something like that? So yeah, so that it not working out on Earth, of course, that brings Galactus' attention to everything, right? Yeah, man. I think all these people whining about Eternals, I was like, that's more of a Marvel movie than Ant-Man is. I like
Right.
it's not this kind of thing that you wanted. So you're like, it's crap. I'm like, that movie starts with a Pink Floyd song, man.
I
And
enjoy the hell out of that movie.
yeah. All right. Well, that's good. We can move on. Of course. That's
Right.
why we're friends again.
We're not going to disagree on that one.
But yeah. So what is that island called now? You said the word Tima or whatever.
Tiamat was the celestial. I don't know what they call
Right.
the island.
So well, of course, that's what they'll call it, right? Because that was Tiamat. And I was thinking, like, the reason they haven't said that yet is because they're waiting to do a giant opening for some movie where they're having Coachella or something on that place. And
On his
like
hand.
all the rich kids are like, yeah, and there's yachts and stuff. And then something happens. And Galactus shows up and goes, hey man, you gotta respect the Celestials a little more than that. I don't know. That's what I want to see. Because they're not like anything that you do that doesn't take place there isn't going to be satisfying. Right?
No.
Like you could have like two guys on a screen like us going, yes, what's going on with the Celestial out in the Indian Ocean, Hector? You're like, oh, thanks for asking. You could do that, but like yawn. We want to see it. We want to see it.
Like I was thinking, and this is completely off the beaten path, but
for us?
Well, all right, not for us.
For us, there is no spring.
That's Galactus. He goes around killing Celestials. That's what he feeds off of. So his whole thing is to go around, kill Celestials. He comes here and sees that, and that starts a whole hullabaloo with the Fantastic Four.
Yes, please. That sounds fantastic.
Let's hope. Let's hope somebody does it better than I just said it.
No, I totally get it. I get how that could work. You know me, I just want Mad Men in the 60s with powers. But, that's not very commercially.
I mean, they made it work with First Class.
They did, yeah, they did.
Yes.
I like that movie.
Also a great movie.
The crowning achievement of that film for me, probably not surprising you, is the black and yellow costumes. They made those things make sense. Yep. I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? There's a costume I should have. What's the matter with me? What kind of?
Well, let's see. Banshees. I like Banshees the best, probably out of that whole. Havoc's was okay, but I got to give it to Banshee as far as having the best version of it.
The movie suits, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy crap! Oh, yes, that was fantastic. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of made me want to go watch it right now. That's a great movie. I wonder if
they put it on the background.
I wonder if they'll retain any of that stuff.
I don't see why they wouldn't. There's got to be some sort of multiverse mashup thing that's going to happen with Deadpool and Wolverine. So,
are you looking forward to that as much as I am?
Of course, but it's going to be another 2 years now before we see that.
Well, yeah, okay, whatever. I
read something about they're not letting it. So like Ryan Reynolds had to stop whatever he was doing as far as ad-libbing because of the strike. So it's like, great.
Oh, he doesn't get to ad-lib? That seems like
something about it going against the script and his like writing, I guess. I don't know. It was some sort of weird
yeah.
contingency, but it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. This whole strike thing doesn't make sense. But
Well,
80s people.
yes, hashtag WGA. But I was thinking about what happened with Quantum of Solace, because I remember that Mendez and Craig could do their own dialogue because they weren't writers. So I wonder if they fixed that in the intervening years between strikes, because it does seem like that's a massive workaround. Like, what happens if your actor is somebody like Jason Segel, who's a writer? It's like, okay, well, I'm doing this in my capacity as an actor. It does seem like you'd want to plug that one.
I was like, that was the year that was like, all right. I was not a fan of the Transformers movies anyway, but that third Transformer movie was the one that was just all shouting Sam, and I think that was the one during the writer's strike.
Yeah, I've seen all of those. I couldn't tell you what happens. The third one, is that Dark Side of the Moon? Though, is that the one where they're?
I think so, and like I said, I think that's the one where it's just.
That's because that's the only bit I remember. Because the 3D on the moon was fantastic. Yep. Like, if I wasn't married and like about 20 years younger, I would have taken all of the drugs and suited up in one of my astronaut suits and went, here's my ticket, and I would gone and just sat there because that was fantastic. I couldn't believe it.
That would have been hilarious.
Anyway, the rest is like ching, 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 cute girl's ass, robot, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But it's like the definition of cotton candy or, a fried pickle or something at the fair. It's like, yeah, that was fun, but that's all I can tell you about it.
There's got to be a little meat in the sandwich, man. That had no meat. It was just like,
all right.
Well, actually, it was probably meat, no bread.
Some kind of meat.
Yeah.
Chris Sagasag, what is he talking about? Tell people you're cosplaying as Mystique as Larry Young. Like, I don't know what that's
put on the yellow and black.
Oh, right now. Oh my God! If I had the ability, if I was, what is her name, Rebecca Romijn, I would just walk around in the form of Larry Young at all times, just to see how awesome my life is. But in fairness, I get to swap with her, so I get to pretend what it's like to be married to Jerry O'Connell.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Go the Jerry O'Connell route or just be Larry?
I'm trying to think. My Mission to Mars composite suit. It's got Gary Sinise's boots and I forget Don Cheadle's pants, but the whole top part is Jerry O'Connell's stunt man. But I have Jerry's helmet. So that's
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's right over there. Kind of can't see it. It's right around past.
It's off camera.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. I got Jerry's helmet. That's a cool suit, man. There's a picture of me on when we won the best publisher 2004 or something for Ain't It Cool News. They had a picture of me and I'm all suited up in it. And that was a fun day. Because
how hot was that thing to wear though?
It's not hot really, but it's the definition of awkward. Because the way it's built, you have to reach your hand through the backpack and do this cool aluminum hook thing that actually hooks it to the front chest part of the suit. So now your whole center of gravity is like back by 20 pounds. And so you have to stand like this. If you watch the movie, you see a thing where when the actors have their helmets off, they're all holding their neck rings like this. And it looks like they're just like, hey, I'm a cool fucking astronaut. But they're pulling all the weight forward. So it's really funny. And it's like the kind of thing I would never known if I hadn't worn one.
That's exactly what diving equipment does to you. So when you're wearing diving stuff, you're just sitting there like this, waiting to go in the water because otherwise that tank's pulling you backwards.
Yeah. Well, so now you have to tell that you're some kind of like super cool ocean free diver, right?
Just scuba. I just scuba dive. Nothing
Just
special
scuba
about it.
dive.
It's just diving.
No, I disagree. I'm a big fan. I hate mankind, but I'm a big fan of the smart monkey aspect of the show. So anything where you need gear to survive, to go explore or look at stuff, just satisfy your curiosity, I think is awesome by definition. So like anybody who straps on a scuba thing, it's not a joke, man.
No,
You need to
it
know
is.
stuff to stay alive.
I
So
didn't.
I
I
just
didn't
admire
realize
that.
that I undertake some life risking hobbies sometimes. Hiking through the desert without, making sure my water is cached at various locations. That's a life risking endeavor. Scuba diving is a definite life risking endeavor, but I take it for granted sometimes. And hearing it from somebody else is like, all right, there's a little risk involved there.
There is, yeah. Now that you mention it, thanks.
Yeah.
Now I have to wait for that to wear off to go do it again.
Thanks for the pucker factor.
I did. So you've been skydiving, huh? You do that?
No, so I got to lose some more weight for that one. That one has an upper weight limit that I have to meet. But
Yeah.
that is on my thing to do.
I was just gonna tell my story about that. Mimi got
Let's
to
hear
go.
it.
Mimi got to go out. So one of the bad things about me being married to a cool girl is that like you can't. If she wants to go do something, you can't be the husband that goes, "Great, I'll take pictures, have fun." Like you got to go do it. So she's afraid of heights, and somehow things jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is going to help her with that. So I'm like, all right, and they're like, all right, but you can't go all the way because you'll hit terminal velocity, pal. So you go from 4,000 feet, but your wife gets the full like 14.8, I think they did. And so I didn't really have time to like get like scared, right? Because
Right.
I'm and plus you're attached to somebody, like somebody else is going with you. I'm like, oh, I thought I was gonna die with Raquel Wells, not you, Eli, but whatever. And but we had a great time. It was really fun. I like doing it, but it was over right when you hit around 150, 100 feet, then your brain goes, what the fuck? Like you kind of don't notice it when you're flying out because it looks like you're looking at a map or something. Like, oh, that's
Right.
cool. Oh, there's a farm. There's the highway. Yeah, that's cool. And then, but like that last 150, 100 feet, your brain goes, wow, this is high. Shit. But then it's over. So you're good, but you do get a little blast right at the end there. So
I got that.
I recommend it. Go
As far as
skydiving.
being scared of heights, super scared of heights. But so we were out. We went to Sequoia and went up Morro Rock.
Oh yeah.
There's
Dude.
nothing protecting you that entire time. And I'm being asked, it's like, you okay? So I'm fine, keep moving. The only way to get to the top of this is to go. So don't ask me questions. Just keep walking.
Did you just look at your feet? That's what I did.
Yep. Because the couple times that I looked over, there's this thin little bar that's the only thing that stops you from going careening off the side. And you've got people that are coming down alongside of you. You're either on the rock wall or you're by that little bar.
Yeah.
If you're by that little bar, my knees are like.
I wouldn't even do that now because my knees do that like at sea level.
Just look. Back to gaming, if I'm playing a game and I'm at heights in a game, I still feel like that. I mean, a lot of it has to do with this ridiculous monitor, but it's the height thing just is one of my biggest weaknesses. And I just like, all right, well, let's do it. Let's go for it. Get it over with.
Did you enjoy it? Oh no,
Once I got to the top.
Oh no,
once I got to the top, it was great.
Right. I gotcha. So, but then you have to go down, which is
that was worse.
Yeah, that's its own problem.
Going down was way worse because you're looking down, but you can also see down.
Yeah, at some point you just have to like get fatalist about it. Like it's like, hey man, if that's what we're doing today, that's what we're doing today.
That was it.
Having a kid helped me with that one. It's just like my definition of what a big deal is just like completely changed. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, this this would have been like a bottle of whiskey, like 3 years ago, and now it's just like, well, is anybody hurt? Nobody's hurt. Let's go home. Let's go.
Yeah, are you bleeding?
Right.
If you're not bleeding, you're fine. Let's go. Oh man.
Chuck Gilder and Elliot are having a conversation about Jim Shooter. I I never followed all that stuff. I just like to read comics.
That's it.
I I don't know.
Ah,
Anyway,
Dave, I feel it in VR also. Yes, because VR pretty much feels real. I'm the same way, Dave. So if I'm looking at through a VR headset, I'm at heights. It's still the same. It's
even
surreal.
if it's not a like really rendered thing, just like some kind of Minecraft thing, it still looks
Yep.
like I dropped you. Ugh.
I
You've
played.
never have
Go
you ever
ahead.
been in that Chicago tower that has the
Oh,
acrylic
this.
bottom?
Nope.
Oh,
I've been to
dude,
Chicago numerous times, but I've never gone up.
we uh we went up there. Walker was about 5 or so, and he was just like, "This is the coolest thing ever." And I'm like, dude, don't jump up and down. You're like, what do you weigh? 35 pounds? Holy shit, you might crack
That's
it.
gonna break it. It's like
It's
no,
just
you or I can jump up and down there. It's not gonna break it.
no. I mean, you could have 15 people doing that. It was like 4-inch acrylic,
Right.
but but that your brain doesn't get that at all. Like your intellect will tell you all day long, this is completely engineered. Trust the technology. No, dude, no, you're not. No, I
Right.
couldn't do it. I walked out there and I tapped the glass and I walked back looking down the whole time. But I was like, that's it. I have 7 to 10 seconds of this, and I can like hot coal it, you know.
The closest thing I've done to that is in Vegas at the Stratosphere.
Oh,
You can jump off of that.
yeah, no, thank you.
I jumped off of that.
You did.
It was my. So they're like, all right, they're asking. There's a group of us, and they ask you, all right, who's going to go first? I was like, screw it, I'm going first. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't excited to like be the first, but I was like, if got to dive right in, or I'm not going to do it. All right, on the count of three,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, here we go.
That's a yeah. Well, I would figure that you don't have a fear of heights now, right? Because wasn't that burned out of your soul once you
No,
did that?
nope,
I just would
nope,
have been like,
still there.
that's it.
Because I think the rational part of my mind realizes that I was harnessed up and on a big steel cable. There was really no harm that was going to come to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, nope, still afraid of heights.
There is that bit where you have that moment of like sort of cosmic self doubt, where you've convinced yourself, I went because I jumped off a crane, and you're like, there's nothing that's going to go wrong. These guys, it's all fine. This is all looks really good. This stuff looks new. Doesn't look frayed. 17 people have gone before me. If it breaks on mine, I guess this is what we're gonna do, right? What are you gonna, I don't know. It worked out. I had a blast. I had a giant adrenaline rush like later. So I'm sitting
Yes.
in a bar with a beer going, wow, that was fucked up, man.
That was another trick I learned is compartmentalizing that sort of thing.
Well, can you talk about your time as a jailer? Because I would imagine that came in really handy.
It's something
Compartmentalizing.
it's something I learned while I was down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what do you want to know? There's a smell involved
Ugh,
that never goes away, no matter how many times you wash your uniforms.
wow.
You're always worried about something going wrong. I mean, hey, Dan's still at the vet's office. Sorry about that, Dan.
We got it, Dan. We're good. You know what? He checked in at like the hour time. I don't know if you have to go. I could just sit here and talk about this stuff all day. Like, what's a prison smell like, man? Just
dial
despair.
soap.
Okay.
The funk of some men who don't want to wash. They don't want to take showers for whatever reason they have come into their head about, you're going to get butt raped in prison. What else?
The
despair.
reason,
yes, definitely.
The reason I'm so fascinated by it is there were a couple of dudes that had done some time on my granite cutting crew, and they just would not talk about it, and because for whatever reason. But one guy said, "Look, man, I know you're the kind of guy that will never leave this alone. So I'll tell you this one thing: is that being locked up is an extraordinary circumstance. So people do extraordinary things." Yep. And I was like, wow, I really appreciate you saying that, because now my curiosity has somewhere to go, right? And it's like, well, of course, that explains every fucked up thing that you hear because it's an extraordinary circumstance in the first place. So, of course, extraordinarily weird things, people would make decisions they're not making in the real world, right? So I was always kind of like, I wouldn't say drawn to it, but I'm like, because it's obviously a repellent concept, right? Like,
It
so
definitely gave me a different
yeah,
take on humanity, and the level of trust that I have with people is way lower than what it was before I
yeah,
had that job. And it's still that way,
yeah,
because so you're there 8 hours or however long. Some places now do 12-hour shifts, but you're there 8 hours, and that's it. 8 hours, you go home. You come back later, you get to do it all over again. But these guys are in there all day thinking of ways to mess with you, thinking
right,
of ways to
yeah,
do harm, try to get out, everything they can. And I've heard stories about this, that, and the other thing. I've broken up fights. I've written people up, had to lock people down. I've got the breaking up fight things. I got in trouble for that once.
wow, really,
Where, yeah, because I went and broke up the fight first, and then instead of hitting the alarm, and I got them squared away, situated away from each other, and one guy threw into a house, and the other guy left on the floor. And so I got that all situated, and I called the command center. You're like, you were supposed to have hit the button for this. What if something? I'm like, well,
you were
whatever.
dealing with it.
Yeah, I said I've dealt with it now, and I have to spend all day writing reports now. There was another one I had a fight where I'm letting people out of their houses for breakfast. And basically, this way, there was a control box outside that I could just hit buttons and start unlocking cell doors. There was, what I wasn't told about was there was some beef the shift prior, and it was never noted in any logbook, between this inmate and this inmate. As soon as I opened both of their doors, one guy made a beeline for the other one, and it was on. So I'm like, oh, here we go. And I can hear the commotion. I'm just like, okay, hit the button, fight 9B, go over there and break it up. And because I broke it up, broke two people off the fight, I had to spend most of my I was there on overtime. I had to spend most of my next shift writing these guys up, writing use of force reports, and it was just tiresome. They're like, CO, when can we get out? So the language was much more colorful that I used. The longer you guys talk to me, the longer it takes me to write these up. And you're not getting out until I'm done. They didn't like that. They would always try to test you. You're always getting tested every night that you come into work. Are you going to be weak? And hey, I got promised served by this CO the last shift. I was like, well, that's great for him, but he's not on this shift. I make the rules. And then you hear off in the distance, FUCO. So, okay, here we go. I go to the general area between three houses where I thought it was. Open the middle one up. Who's got something to say? Who's got a big mouth? Say it now if you got to say it. I said, if you're getting out tomorrow, I get off at 7:30 every night. We'll see you outside too if you want to do it that way. I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
And then you have to calm the rest of the night. So you just have to, what do the kids call it now? Big D energy. You got to come in there. You got to go in there with big D energy, or you're not going to survive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're going to run right over you. And yeah, you will see them doing some things that you're not going to see because desperation.
Yeah.
Walking by doing a cell check, and there's people that are in there just rubbing one out with no inspiration. And I'm just like, all right, keep walking.
Wow.
I had a guy who took a mop into the cleanup room closet, and he was a normal. He wasn't a psych eval patient, a psych eval inmate, nothing like that. Went into the mop closet because he got cleanup. So I'll circle back. Cleanup allowed you to get extra food, extra meal. You get a double portion of food when it comes time to eat. So people would clamor for cleanup or serve. So he took that opportunity. He goes into the mop closet. He takes his mop. He breaks out the fluorescent lights and he just starts going down the street with the broken glass shards.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I got stuck watching him that night. And
That's crazy.
You got to document everything he's doing. Inmate has rolled over in his sleep. Inmate is scratching his private area. Inmate is looking around. Inmate is trying to read.
Wow.
It was a different job. And I knew it had started affecting me. I met a friend of mine in Chicago, and I met his fiance at the time. And I was just, the language was what I would use at work because I was used to talking like that every day. And as we left, I was like, damn, I'm really sorry. And I said, I hope you apologize to your fiance for me. I realized that I was way out of hand with the language, but I just, got into how it went. I was like, that's cool. I was starting to wonder though. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. It won't happen again. It didn't, but
yeah.
And then later on, I found out that a corporal told me there was a study that they had done that an inmate takes 3 years to become institutionalized. A corrections officer takes 5.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Wow, that's crazy.
After 3.5 years of being a CO, I was like, I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah. Well,
good times.
I mean, made you the guy you are now, which is the cool Hector Gonzalez. So,
okay, right. I'll accept it.
All right. So, what do you think? That was bleak but truthful, and I loved it.
Interesting. I'm glad you liked it.
I just mean that it's like hour 6, and we try to keep them at an hour. So, there's no way to go. And now the juggling clowns.
It's time to end it. See ya.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your sleep in your soft bed tonight.
Right.
Elliot did point out something that jumped to me the second you said it too, about when you were talking about opening the cell doors. You said everybody in their house, and like that's not a thing that you hear on TV.
No.
Like that's awesome that they would call their. It is right. That's their domicile, right? So
that is where everything.
You want to call it your house? That's fine. Go ahead, man.
They call it their house. They have, they have it situated just for them. Sometimes they have a cellie. They have it situated for them in the cellie. You learn how these guys iron their clothes in jail, and it's a whole different world.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man, for some added reality to our.
I'm sorry we diverged from sci-fi. And
no, that was awesome. No, you know me, man. When I found out astronauts don't snore, because they can't. The soft palate floats in zero gravity, so it doesn't wiggle to make the vibration, right?
That would be awesome.
The second I found that out, I had to put it in dialogue, right? So talking to me about this, that thing with the house will show up in something I write, because that's fantastic. I love talking about all kinds of crazy shit, and you are the king of it.
Thanks.
So thanks for coming and hanging out. We always see you in the side there, which is fun.
Glad I could sit in.
And hope John feels better, right?
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for helping me.
Pieces never goes away.
Yeah. Thanks for helping me maintain like a chill attitude. I get kind of spastic on these things, so it was awesome. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks, Elliot.
All right. See you guys later.
Hey,
thanks for hanging.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
That's good. I think that's it.